brings us to the second part, as I said already a little bit, like they're recognizing your team. So a lot of the people, like 70% almost of employees, say they would work harder if they were better appreciated. And recognition comes in different forms, right? So this studies goes a little bit further, and then we see, okay, a lot of people, actually 43%, prefer to have the private recognition, so the one-on-one recognition when you have the check-ins or whatever way you structure that. Then 10% really prefers this public, in front of their peers, and 9% prefers it in written forms. This is, of course, preferences. So maybe someone likes all of the three things, right? But another to do, and this is already the last to do really of the session today, but really think about that as well. It doesn't have to be right now, but think about like, how can you recognize the team and what would fit for your company as well? And maybe what change can you bring to a larger company as well? So stars of the week, individual team achievements, recognize people. Oh, that's a good one. Not just for achievements, but also behavior. So not just, oh, we went live with this, or we have a new partner now, or more customers or whatever, but also like, oh, you show to be really a team player by being there or doing this. And that really is, I think, valuable as well. So not just on the goals or the OKRs or whatever you said at the beginning.
One of our community members, Veronica, messaged in chat that I'm on vacation this week, but when I'll be back, I definitely ask how they were doing, what fun things they do during the weekend.
Yeah, that's sharing. A good one. Yeah, that's the building a relationship a bit. And also with learning a little bit what people do in the weekend, you get to know someone way better as well. Because then suddenly, I don't know, there's talks about pets or houses or kids or like partners or no partners, or I don't know. It's nice. It really builds a relationship.
I have a question here, actually. What I've seen in some companies that, maybe sometimes even after an event like that, they get motivated back at their work on Monday and start like some recognition program, etc. But if it like really isn't in the company culture, or isn't in the something that's really in your blood, I've seen a lot of issues when recognition has started and just fallen apart, let's say a couple of months later, because it was not really, it was part of the training, but not something that person really meant.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I really think as a manager, it's your role to then, one, remind yourself if it just sort of lacks or you're forgetting it a little bit, and you can just use your calendar, right? So many things you can engineer nowadays. And also, if it didn't really work, you can have a conversation with your team as well. So if, for example, you do star of the weeks, and it doesn't really get any sort of like, I don't know, you just feel the energy in the room is not rising anymore, or maybe it never really rose when you did that, right? It's about time to just talk to your team as well, like, hey, like I'm doing this because I want to make sure that you all feel valued, because that's important to me, but I feel like this is not the way to do it. Like, what else could we do? And maybe the team then is, like we would like to go out for dinner every quarter or whatever. Like, okay, then you can try to do that, right? But this can definitely also be a team conversation. I think what the value is in all of this, and the entire presentation, is really treating everyone in your team to really take their own ownership, like to really be their individuals, right? So if recognition is something you want to focus on, you can ask them, how do you like that? We're all adults. So that's something I would really, really want to focus on. And for the team, like the culture more or less in the company, I would say that even though when you start this might be a bit scary, and especially if you're a bit younger in the room, and especially actually as females as well, because you look like a little bit the caretaker and the sweet person, right? Whereas the company culture might be a bit harsher and a bit, in the financial industry, I saw that a lot actually. It can be very male dominated. So maybe at first you might feel a little bit like, ooh, should I do this? This is a bit awkward. But I've never had a situation where it wasn't appreciated. So even if you start this and the first week no one really takes on, like really just go for it and keep on trying, because at one point people will be like, oh, that was actually quite nice that she did that, or oh, maybe I can compliment people in my team a little bit more as well. So this is also a little bit about being brave and just really going for it, because it will bring the cultural change in the company as well. Yeah.
Before we go further, I have not so easy question for you. You were talking about, like, let's say normal times when you're asking as a manager, for example, you're growing, you're a new time manager, or you're promoted. But if you join the company and you were talking about this first 90 days of like being a new manager and a new team, and there is a crisis everywhere. Yeah, you don't have all the time to meet everyone, you know, to ask about all the dogs and kids, etc., and all the hobbies. You have to, like, for the business, you have to solve an issue. You have to, I don't know, maybe to even to save some parts of the department, or I don't know, some revenue stream. If it's kind of another way around, if it's fixing some team, or maybe even starting with some layoffs, is the path still the same?
Yeah, yes and no. But a part of being caring for your team is still the same. It might have a bit of a different form, because maybe you won't have time to do like an hour with everyone, or like a lunch or whatever. But I believe that still, like, if you have meetings, you can always start the first 5 minutes with just getting to know someone. Mm-hmm. So even if you only have those 5 minutes, if it's really that strict and you need to deliver, you can even explain that, right? Like, I really want to get to know you, but like we have this pressing deadline already, so I have a couple of questions for you, and then a bit more personal, right? Like, where do you live? What makes you happy? What do you do in your weekends? I don't know, like a couple of questions, because I do want to get to know you, because I value you, and all the rest. Like, really show that, and then you can go into the meeting, and you always have 5 minutes. Always. You just be more efficient in something else then. But if it starts with layoffs, that's a difficult thing, because then straight away you have to do something that is difficult. I am not an expert in it now, and I will definitely not, especially because I don't have the slides or all the background material now to really focus on it. But if that's the way that your new job is starting, then I would definitely recommend you to read like some of the books as well. I have a list at the end, like book recommendations. One is, for example, No Rules from Netflix, CEO. That's a really good one, and it talks about that a little bit as well. The First 90 Days also talks about it a little bit. And I would definitely also reach out to HR or people ops, or whatever it's called in the organization, to help you do that. Even if you're already a manager for a longer term, and you just moved from a company, then still, like, you do not know the company culture well enough to do the layoffs yourself straight away. Like, you should definitely get someone to advise you on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But it's challenging time, so the fluffy and the nice things are becoming increasingly more difficult. 5 minutes are always there.
Noted.
Yeah.